Hey, what's up, Slunts? It's Joker here, and welcome to part 3 of my SLI series featuring the MSI GTX 770 Lightnings, featuring 2GB of GDDR5 RAM, PCI 3 support, and of course, the Twin Frozer 4 fan designs. Today I'm going to be going over the benchmarks, noise levels, and if this is the type of configuration that is right for you, because the SLI is certainly not for everyone, and we'll be going over that today, so stay tuned. Now, if this is the first video you're seeing as part of the series, you can go back and you could watch part 1 and part 2. In part 1, I did an unboxing. There'll be a link in the description below, as well as the annotation that you're seeing in the video here. You can go ahead and click that, go back, and watch part 1 if you want to see the unboxing of the 770 Lightning. In part 2, I showed you guys how to install a second graphics card in SLI and how to get it set up in your system, how to install the SLI bridge, and all of that. So if you want to go back and watch part 2, in case you haven't seen it, go ahead, click the link in the description or the annotation you're seeing on your screen right now. And also, I'm going to be linking you back to my original MSI 770 Lightning review, which was just based on one card. That was the very first video I ever did featuring these graphics cards, and you can go ahead and click the annotation or the description in the link if you want to find out just my overall opinions on the single card of the 770 Lightning. Hey, what's up, Slunch? Joker here. As I said there in the intro, this is part 3 of my SLI series featuring the MSI GTX 770 Lightnings. On their own, these cards are absolutely amazing. If you're just looking to run a 1080p display at 60 Hz, the reason I went with 2 cards is because I'm trying to power this 144 Hz beast of a monitor, and I felt the need for 2 cards. So please stick around. Go ahead, Bruce Lee that fucking like button below. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that. And let's go ahead and get into this damn thing. Alright, so I've had a good deal of time now to sit here and play with these 2 cards in SLI. I've messed around with the settings a bit. That's one of the things I learned very quickly, because this is the first time I'm using SLI, you're going to have to remember. So it's really not just plug and play. It's not as simple as just popping in a second card and boom, instantly you're getting double the power. It's not like that. I would say on average, most of my games have scaled up by about 80% in performance. And I'm saying most games. Not all games, but most. Games that are optimized for SLI, like Splinter Cell Blacklist, for instance, which was just recently released, that is very well optimized for SLI. There's a great SLI profile for that from NVIDIA. Also, Battlefield 3, that's another one that scales very, very well. I'm able to hit the maximum of 200 FPS when I was running Operation Swordbreaker, which is most commonly used in benchmarks. You'll see all the benchmarks a little bit later on in the video. And all the different games I ran it on. But I would say the game that I spent the most of my time on since having the cards in SLI were Far Cry 3, Splinter Cell Blacklist, and Battlefield 3. Far Cry 3, I'm not sure if it's the fact that the game is incredibly graphically intensive, because don't get me wrong, it is a gorgeous game, but it doesn't really seem to scale very well. The reason I say that is because my CPU didn't really seem to be bottlenecking me. You might be able to see this behind me here, but I'm always monitoring my CPU usage. So I was only using it about 60% on that, and I was trying to get 120 FPS. And the cards were kind of topping out at about 50% usage. And from things that I've read on the forums, it seems that was kind of a consistent thing, was that the game just really wasn't overall designed that well for NVIDIA cards, and it didn't really scale too well when it came to SLI. Sometimes I was able to get 120 FPS, but for the most part I was getting around 80 to 90. Now obviously this is specific to me because I'm using such a high refresh rate monitor that I'm trying to hit 120 FPS all the time. But for the standard end user, 2 770s in SLI is just going to absolutely blow your hair back, because I think most users out there, they're probably running a single 1920 by 1080 monitor at 60 Hz. That's probably I would say probably 80% or even higher of gamers out there, that's what they're running. Just a single 1920 by 1080 60 Hz monitor, which is great. I have one of those right here. That's what I started out with, and now I've got the 144 Hz 1 millisecond beast, which is also great. You can pick those up on Newegg. I'm going to have links to all my hardware down below in the description. If you're curious about what all the components of my computer, the monitors, keyboard, everything I have is down in the description below. So if you want any links to where you could find those items, that's all down in the description. But back to what I was saying is, for the end user, for a 1920 by 1080 60 hertz monitor, two 770s, you're not going to find a single game out there that you won't be able to run at a solid 60 FPS. It's just not going to happen. Even Metro Last Light, probably one of the most graphically intensive games ever to be released, solid 60. Never budged off 60, and I wasn't even running one of the cards in dedicated for PhysX. I was just running it in straight SLI. And the benchmarks on that, I was getting over 60 FPS, even on the benchmark, which is like the absolute most ridiculous scenario that you'll ever see in the game. It's actually a scene from the very end of the game, the benchmark, where it's just guns going off everywhere and explosions and the PhysX and tessellations, just everything is going on. And during that benchmark, I never dipped below 60 FPS. So if that doesn't tell you something, then I don't know what will. Now let's go ahead and take a look at those fucking rockin' benchmarks. And just as I did back in my original review when I had just one 770 Lightning, I want to give you guys an idea of the noise level. So let's go ahead and take a look at those here at all the different various noise levels. Alright, so at the end of the day, what is my overall opinion of the 770s in SLI? They're fantastic. They scale very well. Like I said, most games I'm getting about an 80% increase in performance. So that's absolutely fantastic. But for the beginner user, I really would not suggest going with an SLI configuration. If you're just getting into PC gaming right now, you're building your first PC, maybe because you want to play Battlefield 4 and maybe some other games that are coming out soon, and you want to have a fucking beast rig in order to run those games, and you're just looking to run it on a 1920 by 1080 screen at 60 hertz, you really only need one 770. I'm going to be straight up honest about that. That's all you need is one 770. But if you are looking to go the extra mile and you really want to fucking blow everything out of the water and you're an experienced user and you know what you're doing, go ahead and grab the second 770. If you can afford it, you know, why not? It's basically just future-proofing your computer a little bit. This computer right here, as it sits right now, I can guarantee would probably last me a good 3 to 5 years, you know, without any issues whatsoever. Will I upgrade sooner than that? Probably, but that's because I like buying new shit. When the 800 series NVIDIA cards come out, I'll probably sell these 2 cards and get 2 of those. That's just the way I am. But like I said, for the standard user, you really don't need 2 770s. It's a bit overkill for a 60 hertz display. But you know, they are amazing. I'm not gonna deny that. They absolutely blow everything out of the water. As far as benchmarks are concerned, they're just running absolutely phenomenally. DirectX Heaven, DirectX 11 Heaven benchmark, Sanctuary, Valley. You know, you saw all those in the benchmarks that I showed you there before. They run absolutely amazingly well. And I can't say enough good things about the 770 Lightnings. They are fantastic. They stay cool. You know, with these things under max load, I'm not seeing the temperatures going over 60 degrees Celsius, and for an SLI configuration, that's exactly what you want to see. But you will need a roomy case if you want to, and have good airflow if you want to see temperatures like that. So, you know, if you're running a really small case and, you know, a small motherboard and you don't have a lot of room, you know, heat is probably going to be a concern. But if you have a full tower case like I do with the Thermaltake Chaser MK1, you know, that's not going to be a problem at all, really. I haven't seen my temperatures for my CPU gone up very significantly. I'm talking maybe it's gone up about 2 to 3 degrees higher than it was normally at idle and under load. So heat really not an issue as long as you have good airflow and a nice big case. That is key. So that's going to wrap it up for my review of the MSI GTX 770 Lightnings in SLI. I want to thank you guys for sticking with me through all the different parts, through part 1, part 2, and part 3. Once again, if you have not seen either of those, you can check them out down in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at JokerSlunt. I'll catch y'all next time. Ta-da!
Do you want to know how I got these scars? I was opening a 770 Lightning box with my mouth.